Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So my last video was a 90s grunge metal track. Today we're going to go through how it was put together. Let's have a quick look. Okay, so let's have a quick listen to the start. Just drums and bass to start off with. Palm muted guitars going on there, palm muting. It's like background lead, building it up. Always building. A little bit of lead coming in. You can hear the bass and the rhythm palm muting is actually just changed ever so slightly. And they build up. Bring it back down. Start. So it's almost as if it's starting again. You can hear the drums are slightly different here. They've got a ride rather than hi-hats. A different bit of lead. Building up a different section now. Okay, so here we've got the loud guitars. The nice grungy, 90s grungy sound. Let's bring it forward here. So it goes back down. No drums here, just a bit of ride. And then it builds up to the end of the track with the heavy sort of grungy guitars and a bit of lead in the background as well there. Okay, so let's bring it back to start here. So how does it begin? Let's have a little listen to the start. Okay, so we've got a bit of a riser down here on its own. It's always nice to start a track. Don't really even notice it. And I'll have it again here for the next part. What is that? Let's see. Let's see what that does. So we know. Listen to it here. You don't really notice it unless you're listening for it. That's the thing. It's sort of something that builds. It helps to build the track whilst you're... it helps to give that building feeling, although you don't even notice it, which is great. So what we've got here, just a good old bass guitar. Nothing fancy. Plays the same thing over and over again. And... it's just using Logic. Oh, let's bring this back here. We can't see what we've got over here now. Here we go. So we're just using Logic presets. I've tweaked a little bit here, but it's all like bass, Logic bass. You can see it says there Logic bass. And a little bit of tweaking by me, but it was this fuzz drive that I used, Logic preset. And I just tweak it a bit. I like to use it for most of my bass really. So in that, I think that might be a little bit too, not enough bass, not enough bassy, but it seemed to work. Listening to it now, I sort of feel like I could have thickened it up a little bit more actually. But that riff was how this song begun. So this track all begun from that first riff on the bass, a bass riff. So some tracks, sometimes it's most of the times it's the guitar itself that will start a track with just chords, like power chords. Sometimes it could be an actual, more of a riff, like more of a leady riff. But this one was actually just the bass. So I remember it was a Saturday morning actually. I just got back from taking my boys to their swimming class, and I just had this riff just popped into my head. So I picked up the bass guitar and I was just playing it. And I thought, oh, do you know what? It's really basic, but I'm going to record it. And I recorded it just there. And that probably was all I did that day. I just recorded that, changed a bit the drums, and then the next day I started doing some guitars. You don't really need to do too much every day. So that was all I did for that, just that riff there. And I thought, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I don't know where it came from. It might have come from another track somewhere. In fact, it's probably some famous riff from another song, and I'll hear it one day and think, oh no. But yeah, no, it's just something that popped into my head. So here we go. The guitars. Just looping over and over again. I do the usual. I just actually record one in one go. So I would record just this, and then all the way along here, and then I chop it here, and I move this section down here, and then pan one way and one the other, and then I'll copy them all over across. So it's just, rather than having to stop and record again, I just record for a long while and then chop it up. You can also, there's other ways of doing it as well, but that's how I like to do the rhythm. It's nice and quick, I think. And then here it changes ever so slightly. Building, back down. All of the Logic drums. Yeah, all the Logic drumming. Yeah, so let's just do the kick and snare for this bit here. I might just if I double click on here. This is all programmed by myself. I really enjoy doing the programming of the drums. And let's highlight all of those drums. Oh, sounds so cool. It takes a little while to get it spot on. Let's give that somewhere as well so we can hear it. Go back here again. What's going on here? Show us everything, man. Oh yeah, because it's down here, isn't it? Remember to cut off the end of the ride or your hi-hats when your snare is hitting, because well, unless you've got 4 arms or something, the drummer's not going to be able to hit them all at the same time. So you cut off those bits. I don't always get it right. You don't notice it every time, but it's good to try and humanize it a little bit by cutting back on some of them. Cool. So yeah, Logic drums, and breaks down here. Another breakdown. Just a ride. And then back to drums. What I've also got going on here, if I just solo these. If I just solo these off. So I've got the crash hitting on, so when it's building up. So you've got the ride on its own. So when it's nice and loud guitars coming in, and skipping the ride and just hitting lots of crash, make it nice and splashy. We like that in rock and metal. So let's just listen to that bit again on its with everything in. And you can see here where it's building up. It's another bit where there's the rider taking the ride out. Just got a bit of toms going in. Down here we've got layering all the guitars. These guitars are all layering up now. All these guitars layering up. Let's just have a quick listen to these guitars on their own. Ah, not that. I want these. There we go. Sometimes I just like listening to them on their own, like that. I could bring in these other guitars as well. It wouldn't sound as good. Oh, what's happened there? Play. Trimming. With the rhythm, you need the bass, the drums and the bass. I feel like you just release that as its own track. And the usual finishing off the track. Here we go. I'm just using a couple of kicks. That's all there is on the end of this. Just a couple of kicks to finish off the track. Nice and easy way. And then it's cut. It's all cut off. So we've got this kick about there. These will get cut off. Not quite on the kick. Yeah, so it's like you can see there. Cut them. All the guitars and bass. Kind of mid kick, just as after the kick comes in. Actually, there's a crash there. I don't know if that's needed, but it slipped in by accident, or maybe I did like that. Oh no, it does need it. That's good. A little bit of ride to let it go out. Okay, so that's pretty much that. I've shown you the drums before. I mean, I haven't shown you too much detail of what I'm using. As usual, it's with my tracks I'm currently still using. So let's just grab any of these here. Still just using Archetype. Look, if I go through these, click on each one of these tracks, apart from this one here, this one's got the Valhalla attached to it. So that's because, let's have a look why that's got Valhalla. So I solo both of these together. Oh, system overload. They're actually both playing the same. But clearly on this one, I wanted more reverb. I find that the Valhalla, supermassive, reverb, slightly better. It's always a fail-safe. So obviously in the Archetype Nolly I've got here, which I'm using, which is awesome. Let's have a look, where is it? So I do have reverb and delay both on, but it doesn't quite get the same feel as the Valhalla. And here we've got no distortion, we've got no compressor or drive or anything. I mean, I perhaps should have compressed some of this. I do in some of my tracks and give it a bit of overdrive. But yeah, it's pretty much very basic. The guitars are there's not a lot to them. A bit of EQ channeling here on these guitars. That is because I'm trying to get a slightly different feel from left and right, but also I think here there were some clicky noises, so I just brought them all down, just subtracted some of these. So if I solo that, am I on the right one here? So if I quickly show you that, yeah, so if we go through this track here, oh, sorry about that, let's try that again. Can you hear that? There was a noise in there that was bugging me when I was listening back. Took quite a while to actually reach that sound. But yeah, obviously it made it ever so slight different. Probably you wouldn't even notice it, but you know, little tweaks here and there, quite good to get your sound almost. You don't have to be perfect, but it's a little bit nitpicky. I had a nitpicky moment, I think, when I was doing that, but it obviously needed it at the time. So anyway, rambling on a bit there. That pretty much sums up that track. Obviously, I can go into a lot more detail, but I don't want to go too crazy. So the drums, these are all the Logic drum kit, as I've shown on previous videos. And I have just tweaked them to my liking. Using a bit of extra. So this is Neutron by Isotope, giving a little bit extra, quite a bit. All of this can be done pretty much just through using the EQ here. You don't have to jump onto any other, you can just do it. Ooh, you won't want to go too crazy like that. Who knows? You might like that. You might like that. That's just a quick example of what you can do just to slap up your kick drum a bit. Anyway, there we go. I hope you found that useful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and share it with others that might also find it useful. And in the meantime, remember, you got this.